Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I believe this is going to be the first video that is going to be released during my move. So I think technically with this being released, I am no longer technically in my apartment, but wanted to record some videos so that you all had something to grasp hold of, the final moments of me in this apartment. Because by this point, I am not here. So anyway, all I have to say, welcome to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about a couple of underappreciated albums in a discography that is, so widely talked about, and that's the discography of Mr. Tom Petty. Now, those of you that know me know Tom Petty is my favorite Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, I should say, are my favorite American band. I would say that they are second only to the Beatles overall for bands that I love. I don't think Tom Petty ever released a bad song. I don't think there was such a thing as a bad album that Tom Petty was the main artist of, and that includes these two records. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, the records and band that I'm talking about is Mudcrutch. Now, this is the first Mudcrutch album, self-titled, came out in 2008 on Reprise Records. Let me get some of this stuff out of here. Yeah, Mudcrutch, and then we have Mudcrutch, and the album is called 2. There's that little 2 also on the Reprise label. Now, you may be asking yourself, or you may never have heard of Mudcrutch. That's okay. These albums came out during a time when, well, this one especially, when iTunes was really taking shape. Digital downloads, digital extra tracks, they were associated with this album as well. People weren't going out to Target, Barnes & Noble, whatever, buying albums at this point. It was iTunes cards, boom, boom, boom. That's what people wanted. They wanted quick songs. They wanted to pick their playlist. The era of the CD was kind of winding down. The vinyl resurgence hadn't really kicked in at that time, though this was released on vinyl at that time. This is a reissue. But anyway, all I have to say, it kind of went under the radar, though it did make, I think, in the top 40 of the top 200 albums. Mudcrutch was the first band that Tom Petty was in, semi-professionally, I would say. They were formed in Gainesville, Florida in the 70s, before the Heartbreakers. The core members of the original lineup got back together in the mid-2000s and made this album. So if you don't know who that is, let me give you a little peek here. So obviously you have Tom Petty in the lead there. Not the best photo, but Tom Petty. You have Tom Ledden, who is the brother, who's the brother of Bernie Ledden, founding member of the Eagles. You have Mike Campbell, also the Heartbreakers, Randall Marsh on drums, and then Benmont Tench on the keys. And all of these guys on these two albums took part in vocals as well. So there are some lead vocals that aren't just Tom Petty. Now, this first album, and I guess Mudcrutch in general, Mudcrutch were kind of a more of a country rock band, more in line with, I don't even know, they were opening for, early Leonard Skinner. They were coming up at the same time as the Allman Brothers Band. They were playing a lot of the same festivals as those guys, but never really had the, damn, this thing's taking a while to get in here. Forget that, I'll get it in later. They were playing festivals and things with those artists that, would go on to really break out. Again, Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner, people like that. They had one single, Depot Street, which is kind of a cool song that was released on Shelter Records, I believe. And it's on one of the compilations that came out. I think the American Treasure set. I think it's on there. But they did a few songs. They did a song um, called Lost in Your Eyes, which I think the Searchers, the group that sang Needles and Pins, I think they covered that. Kind of a Van Morrison-y kind of song, but definitely an interesting group. Tom Petty was playing bass a lot with Mudcrutch, and he would continue that with these two reunion albums of sorts, even though these are the only two albums in their discography. Uh, this was the first album that I got new that was affiliated with Tom Petty. So this would have been eighth grade, I believe late eighth grade, and was just, over the moon with it. I got it on CD. Love the songs. They do traditional tunes, Shady Grove, June Apple, things like that. But then there's also some great originals on here. Scare Easy, Orphan of the Storm, which is associated with Hurricane Katrina, which had just been a few years prior. They do the old like Dave Dudley song, 6 Days on the Road, kind of with their own version, their own twist. Crystal River is kind of this jammy, kind of swampy, jam band kind of tune. Really, really cool if you like the jam band stuff. This is a Good Street. You have Benmont Tench on lead vocals, which is cool to hear. At that point, I'd never heard Benmont sing, so it was cool to hear Benmont with his kind of softer voice. Tom Ledden is also doing some lead vocals. He shares lead vocals on Shady Grove, and The Wrong Thing to Do is a great kind of jam, just rocking kind of tune. Queen of the Go-Go Girls, the Tom Ledden song, probably the throwaway tune on here. They do a version of Lover on the Bayou by the Byrds that the Byrds did on their Untitled record. Very swampy kind of song, kind of the grittier Byrds when they were Roger McGuinn, Skip Batten, Gene Parsons, and Clarence White. So not the jingle jangle Byrds that Tom grew up with. Great country song at the end called House of Stone. Just a fun little, just kind of ballady Hank Williams kind of tune. It's really, really cool. But this is a great record if you don't know it. I would check it out. It's very underappreciated because there are some covers on there, and Tom does not sing lead on every song. But it's well worth investing, at least just listening to this on streaming to try to get a feel for it. Really, really fun stuff. Which leads me then to the album 2 by Mudcrutch. And this album ended up being the final album that Tom Petty had really serious involvement with. Now, he would do some stuff with Chris Hillman from the Byrds on his album Biding My Time, but this was the last true kind of Tom Petty record. And again, the second album from Mudcrutch, almost 10 years later. This came out in 2016, excuse me. So 8 years later from the first one. So a lot of time had changed. It was the same lineup as the first record, although they do incorporate a couple of session guys, including Herb Peterson, who played with Chris Hillman in the Desert Rose Band. He played with Dillards for a little bit. So he was kind of around that Western sound, that LA kind of country rock sound in the 70s and into the 80s. So it's cool to have him on here. He plays banjo and does some background vocals on a couple of tracks, and he would end up touring with them. They actually went on their one and only full North American tour for this album, and really, really cool. It was just before the Heartbreakers 40th anniversary tour that they would do. That would end up being the final tour that Tom would do. But this is just one of those really cool things because it has all original tunes. Every single guy in the band sings lead versus the previous album where you didn't get any lead vocals from Randall Marsh or Mike Campbell, but you really see what Mudcrutch could do after a good amount of time in the studio. The first record was made in 10 days and was something that was done because that's how they would have recorded it in the 70s, probably on a very limited budget. This album sounds like a true blue album. again, with all original tunes. The songs that the guys were singing lead on are songs that they wrote pretty much by themselves. But you've got some good stuff on here. The album opens with a song that was actually the B side of Don't Come Around Here No More from 1985, which ended up being on the Southern Accents album. And the song is called Trailer. Again, the Heartbreakers did it. There's a version out there. It was legit. Mudcrutch did a version, and they added an extra verse to make it a fuller song and kind of, fits their sound as, a bunch of 60-year-old guys, 60-plus-year-old guys, I should say. And just a really great tune, great harmonica, just a killer drum beat by Randall Marsh. Really, really cool storytelling. Definitely easily could have fit on Southern Accents. Definitely should have, they should have nixed the track like Mary's Got a Brand New Car or something like that and replaced it with Trailer. Hands down would have fit on Southern Accents. Dreams of Flying is a great guitar tune with some great harmony vocals by Tom Ledden on the high harmonies. Beautiful Blue is kind of a trippy kind of ballad. Really, really cool. There's a pedal steel guitar on there. Beautiful World is kind of, again, kind of like a throwaway, meh song, but it's by Randall Marsh, the drummer. And just it's kind of simple lyrics. It's nothing too much to write about. But then to close side A is a beautiful song, one of Tom's best ever. And it's the song I Forgive It All. Just a beautiful acoustic ballad, just like Tom forgiving anybody that ever did him wrong over his life. This is a man that's lived life, that's done, the good and the bad. He's had hardships. He's dealt with addiction. He's seen people die from addiction, all sorts of different things. This is him saying he forgives everything. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. I absolutely love it. And then side two, you've got stuff like The Other Side of the Mountain by Tom Ledden, which is kind of a country-ish kind of tune with Herb Pedersen on banjo. Ben Mont does a song called Welcome to Hell, which is kind of a boogie-woogie kind of tune. Mike Campbell does a song called Victim of Circumstance, which is just a great kind of Bo Diddley kind of tune. Campbell with his kind of grittier, more garage rock sound vocals. Definitely sounds like the precursor to the Dirty Knobs, which he is now, a full-time member of. It was a side project that he did that's now become a full-time project. So that's a really, really cool rockin' tune. And then the final track on this album, the final tune that Tom Petty would really release, during his lifetime, the song Hungry No More. It's just this absolutely beautiful tune, just kind of a slow burn song. Great playing by Mike Campbell. 6 minutes long, but it works so well. Herb Pedersen on the background vocals. I said Peterson earlier. I think it's Pedersen. And just a fantastic tune. It's a fantastic song to close the record on. Check out the song from this album, Hungry No More and I Forgive It All. Those are the two ballads. If you want something a little bit more upbeat, check out the song Trailer from here. But it was a great way for Petty to go out. I hate that, this had to be his final album, but it is kind of fitting that his last album was with his first band, Mudcrutch, and not with the Heartbreakers. But very, very cool. Again, if you like the Heartbreakers and you don't know these albums, you really need to get them because you have 3 original Heartbreakers on this album with Petty, Benmont, and Campbell. So check it out. Mudcrutch 2 and then the self-titled Mudcrutch record. They are definitely worthy of your collection. So that does it for me. Let me know what you think of these albums. Let me know which of these are your favorite. Let me know some of your favorite tracks. I would love to hear from you all in the comments. So that'll do it for me. In the meantime, y'all be good, take care, and we will see you on the next one. Bye now.